WeBuyHousesCashOrTerm.com.
If you are a homeowner, landlord, property manager, condo owner, townhome owner, or mobile and manufactured homeowner, this is one of the most important housing market shifts to understand right now. For the last few years, a lot of people got used to hearing one of two extreme stories. Either the housing market was unstoppable, or a crash like 2008 was right around the corner. But the real story in 2026 is more nuanced and honestly, more useful. Foreclosure activity is moving from historic lows toward a more normal level. That does not automatically mean collapse. It means stress is slowly reappearing in the system, and people who understand that shift early will make better decisions than people who panic or ignore it. ATTOM reported 38,840 U.S. properties with a foreclosure filing in February 2026, up 20% from a year earlier, marking the 12th straight month of annual increases. Foreclosure starts rose to 25,928, and completed foreclosures increased to 4,077. At the same time, ATTOM said overall foreclosure levels still remain well below historic norms. That is the hook for this entire conversation. Foreclosure activity is rising, but it is rising from an unusually low base, not from a normal market. So let's break down what that means, why it matters, who it affects most, and what you should be watching next. Picture the housing market like a patient coming off powerful medication. For several years, the market had extraordinary support. Ultra-low mortgage rates, pandemic relief measures, forbearance programs, stimulus effects, and rapid home price growth all worked together to suppress distress. Even households under pressure often had options. They could refinance, sell quickly, tap equity, or avoid default because prices had risen so much. That created a period where foreclosure activity looked abnormally quiet. Now that those conditions are fading, the market is not suddenly breaking. It is reverting towards something closer to its long-term behavior. That is what normalization means. And the January data confirms that this is not a one-month blip. ATTOM reported 40,534 foreclosure filings in January 2026, up 32% from a year earlier. Foreclosure starts up 26% and completed foreclosures up nearly 59%. That tells us the trend has been building, not flashing for 1 week and disappearing. Now, here's where a lot of people get tripped up. Rising foreclosure activity sounds like bad news, and in some cases, it is. As an analyst, I would tell you to separate 3 different questions. First, is foreclosure activity rising? Yes. Second, is it rising fast enough to confirm a broad housing collapse? No, not based on the current data. Third, does this shift still matter for owners, investors, and housing professionals? Absolutely. It matters because normalization changes market behavior. A market with near zero distress behaves very differently from a market where distress is quietly creeping back in. In a near zero distress market, sellers hold power. Buyers compete aggressively, and almost any property can move if priced reasonably. In a normalizing distress market, timing matters more, pricing discipline matters more, and asset quality matters more. Weak owners start to get exposed. Marginal deals stop working. Deferred maintenance becomes a bigger problem. Poor cash flow becomes less survivable. Let's talk about why this is happening now. The biggest reason is simple: affordability pressure. Reuters reported this month that U.S. home prices are expected to rise only modestly in 2026 and 2027, while 30-year mortgage rates are expected to stay near 6%. Analysts also noted that existing home sales are expected to remain below pre-2022 levels, partly because higher rates are keeping both buyers and sellers constrained. That creates a very specific kind of stress. People are not getting crushed because prices are collapsing. They are getting squeezed because costs stay high while flexibility stays low. Buyers cannot easily qualify. Sellers do not want to give up cheap existing mortgages. Owners facing hardship cannot always refinance out of trouble. Builders still face affordability headwinds. Reuters also reported in February that home builder sentiment remained subdued because affordability challenges keep many buyers on the sidelines. So this is not a classic crash setup. It is a pressure cooker setup. That distinction matters for your audience. If you are a homeowner, normalization means you cannot assume your equity alone will protect you forever. If your insurance jumped, your taxes rose, your HOA increased dues, or your income changed, the margin for error is smaller than it was when rates were near record lows and demand was exploding. A normalizing foreclosure environment punishes delay. The earlier a homeowner addresses payment strain, the more options usually remain. If you're a landlord, normalization means tenant affordability and property-level cash flow need much closer attention. In a softening but supply-constrained market, rents may not rise fast enough to offset financing, insurance, maintenance, and tax costs.
So if you are waiting for the perfect time to seize this opportunity, the time is now.
Are you fed up with carrying the burden of a house you can't afford? Tired of being a landlord? House needs too many repairs? Going through foreclosure? Facing divorce? Income or job loss? Medical bills? Relocation? Inherited an unwanted house? Tired of paying taxes on a vacant house? No matter the reason, condition, or price, we buy houses as is.
WeBuyHousesCashOrTerm.com is your real estate housing consultant when you need to sell your house fast, as is condition, to a cash home buyer and get peace of mind.
Fourth, watch local foreclosure trends, not just national ones. Texas, Florida, and California often lead by total volume because of their size, while states like Delaware, Nevada, and Florida can stand out by foreclosure rate. The national trend tells you the climate, but local numbers tell you the risk in your neighborhood or asset class. Fifth, act before the market labels your property distressed. The best outcomes usually happen before the file reaches the ugliest stage. That can mean loan modification conversations, listing before arrears deepen, estate planning for inherited properties, or smarter management decisions on marginal rentals. And let me add one more angle that many creators miss. Normalization can create opportunity, but only for disciplined people. For buyers, it can mean less frenzy and better negotiating conditions. For landlords, it can mean selective acquisition opportunities if underwriting is conservative. For probate and inherited property owners, it can mean that acting decisively beats letting a property sit while carrying costs pile up. For agents and managers, it can mean a larger role as problem solvers. That is why this is such a good explainer topic. It is not fear content. It is interpretation content. You are helping people understand that the market is transitioning from an emergency-suppressed era to a more reality-based era. So here is the bottom line. Foreclosure activity is rising again, and it has now risen year over year for 12 straight months. That does not mean the sky is falling. It means the housing market is becoming less forgiving. Less forgiving to over-leveraged owners, less forgiving to weak cash flow, less forgiving to poor planning, and less forgiving to people who confuse a supply shortage with permanent safety. If you are a homeowner, landlord, property manager, condo owner, townhome owner, or mobile and manufactured homeowner, this is the moment to stop watching only headline prices and start watching pressure points. Monthly affordability, reserve strength, local distress trends, and asset quality are what matter most in the next phase of this market. And that leads to the call to action. If you want to stay ahead of where the housing market is going, not where it has already been, subscribe, because this channel breaks down real estate shifts in plain English. Comment with your market and property type, homeowner, landlord, condo, townhome, mobile home, or manufactured home, and tell me what pressure point you are seeing first. Insurance, taxes, rates, vacancy, repairs, or affordability. That feedback will shape the next video. And it will help everyone watching see where normalization is turning into real stress on the ground.
So if you are waiting for the perfect time to seize this opportunity, the time is now.
Are you fed up with carrying the burden of a house you can't afford? Tired of being a landlord? House needs too many repairs? Going through foreclosure? Facing divorce? Income or job loss? Medical bills? Relocation? Inherited an unwanted house? Tired of paying taxes on a vacant house? No matter the reason, condition, or price, we buy houses as is.
WeBuyHousesCashOrTerm.com is your real estate housing consultant when you need to sell your house fast, as is condition, to a cash home buyer and get peace of mind.